Good afternoon here from Palm Springs, California. Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and I'm so happy to have our guest here today. We're going to be talking about the film. Would you please introduce yourself? Thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. My name is Jesse LoCascio, and I'm the writer, director, and editor and cinematographer of Sunset Smudge, which is an official selection of the 2026 River Valley Film Festival. And I am in Sarasota, Florida.
Beautiful. Thank you again, Jesse. And we are proud media partners of the River Valley Film Festival. So just had to put that plug in there. Jesse, Sunset Smudge feels almost like a visual poem with the spoken words being tranquil mute, and you got such tranquil music and the makeup and changing scenery all working together. Was that poetic quality intentional from the beginning?
Yes, and it's funny. I'm gonna knock my own screenwriting here. It's very faithful, the final film, to the screenplay, but I didn't quite have exact faith in how it was going to come off on screen until I collaborated with my actress Callie Dixon, who I had worked with about a half a decade ago. So she's a very successful working model, all over the place. But I met her in New York. I was a focus puller on a 16 millimeter fashion shoot in Times Square with her. Um, and we, when you're kind of a crew member on a shoot like that, you don't really talk to the talent all that much, but we kind of kept in touch over the years, just over Instagram, and we would, like each other's posts and this and that. Um, and we kept in touch long enough that I sort of kind of worked up the courage to ask her, like, hey, would you be interested in doing something very different than, your typical sort of modeling? Would you be interested in taking a look at this screenplay I wrote? Because she's a Florida native. I had just moved here. So I sent her the script and sort of waited with bated breath. And we did a bunch of rehearsal and workshopping on the script for, geez, 3 months or so. And I knew immediately that I'd found my kind of muse for this project because she was so great with kind of taking what I had written and kind of filtering it in the exact sort of inflection that I was kind of hoping for. Because there's a version of this where I think it could come off kind of hokey on the page, but the poetic prose was very much built into the script. And when I finally heard her say it for the first time, just over Zoom, much like this, my fears were dispelled, about my own writing. But yes, that was very much built in. And I kind of wanted to feel like a melancholic sort of beautiful wash of emotion. I didn't want it to feel like overtly heavy, to the point where there was a depressing quality to it. Where I am in Florida has such gorgeous beauty. I wanted it to feel like the opposite of what I see, which is like desaturated colors. And, there's a lot of trendy things in indie films where it's like, what if we just zapped the color and made it look like a depressing place? I want it to feel dripping with light and color and kind of capture Florida like I don't normally see it on screen.
Well, you sure did that. Yes, very impressive. You were talking about Callie and her making her acting debut here, and you talked about her being the right person to carry such a quiet and visually driven film. The film centers so much on the young woman applying makeup. What does that act represent for you? Transformation, protection, identity, or something else?
I would say all of the above, and also kind of a quiet act of control. It's not just about the superficial beauty of it, but also how it makes, that individual feel. That was always kind of the driving metaphor. And so we shot the film sort of I don't want to say piecemeal, but we did the her coverage remotely. I forget exactly where she was at the time. So we would kind of talk about, what I was looking for with the makeup. Um, but I sort of wanted her to bring an element of like autofiction to it. So we had a whole discussion about, I intentionally don't name the character. We call her the Florida girl in the credits, but there's no name for the film that you hear as an audience member. And she told me some personal stuff about what she was bringing to the script. That when she lived in Florida at the time, when she was younger, she would put on makeup before going to Publix, and it was sort of this very personal kind of thing. And I wanted her to bring an element of autofiction to it. Like maybe this is Callie, maybe this is, I want people to kind of question, like, is this character? There's an almost documentary-esque kind of quality to it. So with the makeup in particular, I wanted her to to kind of have a sort of element of neuroses about it. Like almost not a desperation, but a kind of like slight frantic, like I need to do this, otherwise, the world around me is going to crumble even more. This is the one kind of place I feel in my element. Everything outside of her, is sort of this kind of almost oppressive atmosphere.
Interesting, because I was also a model. And so watching her put on the makeup, I learned some tips, by the way.
Yes, I'm
Can let her
sure.
know.
I will.
Um, there is one voice, hers, guiding much of the film. How did you approach writing that narration, and what did you want it to reveal that the images alone couldn't?
I sort of wanted to take you on a journey through the headspace of this character that could represent so many different people here in the state of Florida. Um, there's an element of autobiographic, sort of stuff with myself. So when I moved here 3 years ago, I felt an incredible sense of displacement. I was so excited to come here. It was very much something I always wanted to do with me and my family. And I've been a New Yorker my whole life. So when we made this very momentous move here, I felt such a confliction of emotions. I was excited to be here. It was like just paradise to me, but I also felt incredibly melancholic and displaced. And there's strip malls everywhere and fading, crumbling facades, and surrounded by just stuff I had never seen before. It was just gorgeous. Um, so I wanted the narration to kind of convey some of my own thoughts, while also, through a completely different character. I really wanted to express just this kind of conflicting feeling that you get when you go someplace that's totally new, you don't really know anybody, and you feel very, very small. But also it was impossible to deny, what I was surrounded by. I come from like the New York City area, just giant bustling metropolis, then you come here and it's just awash in light and just it's stunning. And I wanted the narration to and the prose in general to feel very conflicted. I wanted it, in one breath to be this place is incredible, this place is unlike anything on earth, and also I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if I can make it here. I'm going to try to make it here. I want it to feel very, very, push, pull, as far as uh, the kind of just diction in general.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the scenery and how it keeps shifting around and how those different locations connected to what she is feeling internally. I felt that. So I'm going to change gears here. The music creates a very
Yes.
calm, meditative feeling. How did you choose the score, and what role did you want it to play in the audience's experience?
I'm so glad you asked. So my composer, her name is Catalin Colt, and I might butcher this. I think she lives in Sweden, but I believe she's Hungarian. And I came across her. This is gonna kind of date me. I found her on Reddit. There is a wonderful filmmaker subreddit. And I just was like on there one day. I was in the middle of production on Sunset Smudge. I was in the middle of shooting. I didn't quite know if what the score was going to be. I knew what I wanted, but I just typed in music at like music for a short film, and I saw that she had a page and had just posted maybe 150 days ago, hey, I'm a composer looking for projects. And I reached out to her and I looked at her YouTube channel, and I knew immediately that I wanted her for this project because her stuff was um, just very sensual. I don't know how else to describe it other than very, very. There was a feeling and a quality to it that it sort of wasn't quite music to me. It was like this is a character in and of itself. Um, so I reached out to her. I didn't hear anything for a while, and I really, really kind of persisted and bothered her until she answered me. We went back and forth. Probably for about 4 to 5 months while she composed the score, sending me samples and sending me all sorts of different things that ended up being used. Some didn't end up being used. Uh, but I described it to her that I really wanted the music to be its own kind of character. I wanted it to put you in the headspace of Callie's character, but also very much be a driving force. Like the music, the film will live and die by the music. Because it is basically essentially the entire film, uh, with maybe the exception of the first minute. Um, so I knew that that was going to be crucial, and I would send her images from the film, or images I was shooting. Some of them didn't end up in the film, but I would send her screenshots of just kind of visual reference of like here's an image of a fading, crumbling bowling alley. Take this and put it into music. And she would send me stuff, and I would give her notes, and we went back and forth virtually.
Interesting, interesting. I love that. Thank you for explaining that. Because the film is more impressionistic than traditional, what do you hope that viewers understand or feel by the end of it?
That it's okay to feel displaced and to have these sort of very conflicting feelings about where you live, where you moved, where you are in life, whether that be a mental headspace, a physical space. It to me, like Sunset Smudge is sort of like film as therapy. Like I very much wanted it to feel like a sensory kind of experience and have all these elements that I love in movies, anamorphic imagery, sun flares. I wanted all of that in there. But for me, the film was very much kind of a working piece as I was, um, I guess, sort of dealing with my own sort of things, very much like Callie in the film. Um, and if I can, if I just want people to take away a feeling of hope, and beauty from the film, and also, it's okay to still have that question at the end, like, is this all enough? Is this all sort of enough for me? And I don't know the answer, and the characters know the answer, and that's okay. Like, it's sort of these questions are something that everyone I think deals with at some point, and if I can move people just a little bit with that final question, that to me is the goal of the film.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jesse. So, how can our readers and our viewers find out more about you and the film? Social media or website or what?
Yeah, so I'm the film is on IMDb and Letterboxd. I'm on IMDb and Letterboxd. Feel free to review the movie. You can check out my prior credits. This is my directorial debut, but I've worked in the camera department of independent films, documentaries, reality TV, all sorts of stuff for the last 12 years. I have another film coming up. It's not on either of these uh, platforms yet, but I'm literally shooting it right now. It's called Spiral Tone, and it is a very completely different thing than this. It's a much more narratively driven film than Sunset Smudge, kind of like a 70s style psychodrama freakout. And that should be we should be finished production, I think, by the end of this month. And hopefully, maybe I'll be talking to you, in another few months or 6 months, 12 months with this new film that's completely different from this one.
Please do. Please keep us posted. We're the Hollywood Times dot net and the Hollywood Times officials, our YouTube channel. It's so nice to meet you virtually. Maybe one day our paths will cross in person.
Absolutely.
Jesse, good luck with the film and at River Valley, and hope your career continues to be successful.
Thank you so much, Valerie. I appreciate it.
Great. Have a great rest of your day. Bye
You
bye.
too.